All right, we have our 2005 Land Rover LR3 with the 4.4 V8 in the shop for, as you can see, just hit 200,000 miles. So we're going to do a good maintenance to it and get rid of this light here on the dash. It's the only light we've had. We replaced the brakes, rotors, and pads, but I didn't replace the sensors. I thought I could reuse them, but these were, I guess, damaged or just not going to work. So I got new ones. So we'll stick those on there when we rotate the tires, and hopefully that gets rid of that light. We're going to do some maintenance, so we'll jump out and get this thing up on jack stands so we can start tearing into it. We got all the stuff laid out that we're going to do to the LR3. I got a transmission filter and pan upgrade, so it'll be a metal transmission pan, and that's separate from the filter, so we'll be able to swap it out or swap the filter out in the future. We got should come with the new gasket and the bolts for it. We got the wiring harness sleeve that has new O-rings, so that's a common leak point. We're going to replace that. I got 2 brake wear sensors, so we're going to replace those. I already did the brakes, but didn't replace those. Tried to reuse the old ones. That's not going to work, so I'm going to get those swapped out. We got the transmission fluid. We're running this liquid moly, full synthetic automatic transmission fluid. We have our transfer case fluid. So this is what they call for, full synthetic transfer case fluid for this. Then we got the rear axle is our locking rear axle. So this is what they call for. It's a special oil. I couldn't find much else that matched it. If you guys know something, let me know. It's synthetic for electronic limited slip discs. So we're going to do the rear axle, the transfer case, transmission, and then I got some mobile gear oil, synthetic gear oil over there. We got our engine oil filter, engine oil. I'm running synthetic 530 on that. So we'll be putting all this into the LR3. We'll check our air filter, see if it needs to be replaced. Our plan is to get a cleanable one because we live in a dusty environment, as you can see. So the only thing I don't have that I want to do a cooling system flush and change out the thermostat. It's not overheating, it's just 200,000 miles. I think it's a good idea. It's on order, haven't gotten it yet, so if it shows up in time, we'll go ahead and do that. Change out the thermostat and flush the cooling system. And just do a good thorough. We're going to rotate tires. We got a couple good storms coming through in the next over the next week and a half. So we want to make sure this thing's ready to go. This is the wife's daily driver right now, so I want to be able to get in there and not worry about it. As soon as we get this done, we're going to start working on her car. We'll pull out the 5-liter on our engine stand and do all the timing work to it with it on the engine stand. It'll be a lot easier. Then we'll pull her car and get ready for the engine swap. So look forward to that video. Something interesting. So we'll see how she goes. All right, I am going to get this thing up on jack stand so I can crawl underneath it and start pulling some drain plugs. All right, we got the LR3 up on jack stands. So I think what we'll start with is a tire rotation, and then we'll just inspect the tire tread, brake wear. Shouldn't have any issues. We just put new rotors and pads on this, and it's been working good. So let me get my impact drill and we'll zip these wheels off. All right, we're getting ready to drain the rear differential. Again, this is a locking rear differential. So we're gonna remove the fill cap first, which is right there on the passenger side. It's easier to get to it from the rear of the vehicle, and then we'll pull that drain plug out, get it all drained out, go from there. So we're using a number 8 Allen wrench or Allen to remove the drain or the fill plug. Okay, now we got the fill plug removed. He's going to remove the drain plug. This is again a locking rear differential. The drain plug, or the fill plug, didn't look very good. So hopefully this drain, it's not an indication of what we're going to see coming out of this. So let's see. Oh my gosh. I would say this has never been changed. We might have to do a flush on this.
Smells pretty bad.
I don't know what's going on there. This is what you don't want your rear end to look like. Wow. Oh well. We'll let it drain out, and then we'll take a look at what we got on this magnet. All right, so I'm pretty sure this hasn't been changed in ever. It's got 200,000 miles on it, so this is probably the original oil, which is sad. Good thing is I don't feel any chunks. We're going to go through it, but yeah, that is crazy. If we just start, it's like solidified on the bottom. It's the sludge. Yeah, just build up. Probably just, we'll put our oil in it. Probably run it for, I don't know, maybe the next engine oil change, we'll change it again. I mean, this stuff's, oil's not cheap, but I can't imagine what the differential costs. So I'm thinking we run it for one oil change, will be 5,000 miles. I should get in there and clean everything real good, loosen it up, and we'll change it again and see how many more miles we can get out of it. We're going to get this cleaned up. All right, we just got done. Ended up putting about 1.5 quarts in using this little setup here. Kean's got the fill plug in. He's going to tighten it down, and we'll be done with the rear diff. We'll move on to the transfer case, work our way forward. All right, we moved on to the transfer case. Kean's pulling that fill plug out first. It's a number 8 Allen. And then we'll get the drain plug underneath. Get that out. See what kind of oil we got. Well, that's black. No, that looks terrible. Well, I guess on your hand it doesn't look so bad. Is there anything on, is that a magnet? Doesn't look like it. No. Definitely need to be changed. Well, that's good. This is like some kind of lightweight gear oil. It's not transmission fluid like some other transfer cases. All right, we'll let this drain and get set up to get some new fluid. All right, Kean's putting the drain plug back in after cleaning it up. Remember, it's aluminum with a sealing ring. All right, now we got our transfer case fluid. Again, oops. This is what it is. Fully synthetic transfer case fluid. That's what we put in our other LR3. Didn't have any problems with the transfer case, so we're gonna continue. All right, we'll get this filled up and let you know. All right, we just got done filling up the transfer case. Around 1.5 quarts, or a jug and a half. He's gonna tighten up that drain plug, and then we're gonna jump past the transmission. We're gonna knock out the engine, oil drain, and filter, and the front diff, and then we'll come back and do the transmission, because we gotta, this has the original Land Rover plastic oil pan built-in filter, so we gotta take that transmission mount bolt out, raise up the transfer case slightly, and get under there and get them bolts out. It takes a little bit of time, and then we'll upgrade it to a steel pan and a separate filter. All right, moving on forward. All right. Okay, so we've got the skid plates off, and we are going to see if I can do this. Here's your drain plug, the big behemoth. You can't miss it on the inside of the differential. For the fill plug, you're gonna go out. Here's your control arm, lower control arm. And you see my ratchet. If you see this bolt here, you're just gonna go right above it. And it's a number 8 Allen head. So we'll take this loose and then we'll pull the plug on the differential and see what kind of oil comes out of there. And then we'll move over here, pull the drain plug for the oil, engine oil, and then we'll come up here and remove our oil filter. It just screws onto the oil cooler, and got a little bit of oil leak. We're gonna see if we can track it down. That's what we're gonna do. All right, we are getting ready. See if I can get a right angle. Sorry. Okay, we're thinking this is gonna be just as bad. This is the front differential on our LR3. 200,000 miles, probably the original oil. Oh gosh, that's not too bad, but I don't know what came out at the beginning. Did you? Well, you got stuff on that magnet.
It's got color.
Yeah, it's got color. I'd say it's probably still the original.
Yeah.
The original oil. All right, we're gonna let that drain. Might as well hold the engine oil plug right here. Let them both drain together. All right, we got our new filter on. We just use these K&N filters. Let's see if I get you the part number right there. HP 1014 synthetic media. And the nice thing too is this one's in a tough way to get an oil wrench in there, a filter wrench. So we just use a 1-inch socket on the end of that filter, and it comes right off. So that's why for this one we use it. Comes in handy, and I think they're good quality, decent quality filter for a good, decent price. So all right, we got our 1/8 quart putting in there. We're not going to run it yet. I think it might still need a dab. I think it calls for 8.1 quarts with a filter change. So we'll run it for a minute or two, shut it down, and then if we need to top it off, we will. But we got the engine oil filter done. We got the front differential done. We got the transfer case done and the rear differential done. So the only thing left is the brakes. We're going to rotate the tires, put those brake sensors, inspect the brakes, steering, make sure everything looks good, look for any concerns, and then once we're done with that, we move on to the transmission. So it's going to take a little bit more time, but we'll get it. It's going smoothly. Definitely a needed maintenance for this vehicle. All right, just we're on the driver's side front on this particular LR3, which is an 05. The front brake pad wear sensor is on the driver's side. The rear is on the passenger side. Just one on the front, one on the back. So there's no sensor on the passenger front or the driver rear. Pretty straightforward. You can see it just slides right into a little groove right on the side of the caliper. And then little rubber grommet. You take this your bleeder screw cap off, and it fits right over the bleeder screw. And then we'll just put that back on there so it keeps dirt and grime out of it. Okay, and then it curls, just does a U-turn right here, and then clips in right there. Just slide it down. Then you have these green clips, minor green anyways, where it fits into. And then right up on the back side there, there's a groove in there that the rubber grommet slides into. Pull that out. Another one right there. So kind of goes up and then back around, and the clip for it is right in here. I just pulled this down and did it by feel. So that's the front. Here's I guess about a 5,000 mile update on our new, these are our brake rotors and brake pads. Got lots of life, nice and clean, no corrosion. So far we really like these. Haven't had any problems. No fade, no vibrations. So so far we're happy with them. While I'm under here, you can see we just checked the condition of everything. We got our limit strap, our bump stop extensions, tie rods, checking for different damage to the half shaft boots, the CV boots. Everything looks good there. Actually, on this driver's side, you get a good view. That's your, right there is your oil fill plug for your front diff. So might be just as easy to pull the wheel off and get to that with your fill tube. Going forward, I might do that. So there's our old engine oil filter still down in the tray. But yeah, everything looks good up here. We're gonna put the wheel back on up here, then we'll move back, check the rear brakes. Just I'm gonna work my way probably counterclockwise around the car and finish off on the front passenger wheel. So here's my old wear sensor. This is the clip that goes in the up inside the fender liner. Just 2 prongs. You got to push it in real hard for it to lock. So just keep that in mind. I'd hate for you to slide it up in there and then no, it doesn't lock. Here's the end that goes towards the brake. So this one's kind of missing the backside. Doesn't want to focus right here. The new one has this kind of shoulder on both sides. So I think this was just moving. Maybe it got wore down, reused. But I think these, I want to guess around $10 each. I got them on Rock Auto, but yeah. I think these are the Power Stop brand, same brand as my rotor. They make the brake wear sensors and my brake pads. So, all right, I'm gonna move on to the back. You'll see what probably why the reason why the light's on is the rear wire. We found it just hanging down and rubbing on the inside of the wheel. So I'll show you guys that. Okay, so here we're on the rear, and you can see probably why we're getting that's the sensor wire. So that's completely just hanging down, probably been rubbing on the wheel or something, corroding. Look in here, you can see the little groove that it's supposed to go into. Get my camera set up right here, right down in there. Get in the middle of the screen, right there. That's where it slides into. So this one comes up. See, it kind of goes under the upper control arm, comes back up, and goes back into there. And we're gonna do the transmission. This will be the first transmission service we've done to this car. So it has the original plastic pan. I don't know if the service, if they've ever changed it. First thing you gotta do is pull this heat shield. LR4s don't have this heat shield, but you'll have 4 number 8s right there, over there, and then one here and one here. So I'm gonna zip those number 8s off. Then there's a bracket that this heat shield connects to. We have to take that off. So we'll do that after we take that off. Then we'll pull the plug, let it drain. While we're letting it drain, we'll jump over here and pull that bolt out. This one right here. That way it allows us to lift the transmission transfer case up a little bit, give us some clearance to get the bolts in here. So, all right, let's get on with it. Okay, we got the heat shield out of the way, and now you can see the bracket I was talking about. It's going to be 4 number 8s. There's one there in the center of the screen. There's one back here. Right up there, center of the screen. So that's one on the, those 2 are on the passenger side. Then you come over to the driver's side, and you'll see one there and one there. They're tight, especially on the driver's side because of the drive line. I find it just easiest to use the number 8 ratchet wrench. So I'm gonna pull those out, and then we'll be ready to pull the drain plug. All right, this is the heat shield bracket. You got your 4 spots where the number 8 bolts hold it on, and then once you get that off, go ahead and pull the drain plug. It's going to be between the exhaust crossover pipe and the subframe. You'll reach up in there with a number 10 Allen wrench. See if I can get it off here. and this is the drain plug. So we won't be reusing this. Got some debris. Now, I don't think the factory ZF fluid or the liquid moly that I got is colored. It's like looks like normal gear oil, engine oil color. So don't be surprised if you see that. If somebody swapped it out to like a Burkron SP, which I think some people do, then you might see the reddish oil. But other than that, I'm gonna let this drain while it's draining, and then once it's done draining, we'll start pulling the oil pan off. We'll drop that rear cross bolt first, the transmission mount bolt. All right, get the camera down here. We got the bolt out. You can see it doesn't raise it much, maybe an inch or less, but it helps. I got my jack supporting the back of the transfer case. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on, you're just lifting it till it doesn't lift anymore. It's a number 18 bolt. The nut on the other side is captured, so you don't have to worry about holding it. Just get a number 18. I use a breaker bar to loosen it off because it's that tight, and then just a standard 1/2-inch drive ratchet to pull it all, to remove it the rest of the way. So now we start removing these bolts that hold the oil pan on. So these are a Torx 40, a T40. I zip all the ones I can get out with my 3/8 drive impact, zip them out, and then I'll show you what I use for the other ones. All right, so got all the screws out. Basically, I use this with a T40 bit on it to zip all the ones that are easy to get to with the drill, which is by 85% of them. Ones you can't get out are these here, and then these here with the drill. So for those, I was able to use it 1/4-inch drive flex ratchet with a Torx 40 T40 bit. Takes some time, but you can get them out. I left one on the side in, that way it supports the pan. You could probably do two in case sometimes they're stuck to the transmission, sometimes they're not. It's got a built-in seal here. But you see this is the original, or this is the Land Rover style ZF pan and filter in one. Magnets don't look too bad. Good thing is you do not have to reuse the magnets. Again, I just do my little torque shift on this, and it breaks it off. I don't have to fuss with a saw. So that's how I do that, using these two tools. Pan's off. I'll get this draining. The new pan, metal pan, comes with new magnets, so you don't have to worry about it. I keep these magnets around the house for different projects, uses, so, or I should say around the shop. So let me go show you the new pan and filter. All right, so I unpackaged our new oil pan. So you see, new pan, new magnets, it's got the drain plugs and everything. Got our filter, and one thing I was happy to see, if you remember my last video where we did this to the LR4 2010, I had, I think, the washer scattered throughout the box. So glad to see it's packaged now. Came with a new gasket. It's not a reusable gasket, but should be good to go. We are gonna clean up underneath. Before we put this on, we got to put our sleeve on. So I'll try to show that, what I do for that. All right. All right, so we got our pan down. Let's see if I can get a good camera angle. All right, so here's our valve body. You can see the solenoids on this end. They do sell a solenoid kit if you ever have problems. We changed the whole valve body out on our 2010 LR4, which is a similar transmission, but they did change some internal parts, I think, to make it more robust. But what we're going to do is replace the main harness going in has a seal bushing that you replace, because you usually do it because it's notorious to leak. It's that one right in the center of the camera. They're notorious to leak, and you have to pull the pan anyway, so they recommend just replacing it. So the first thing you do,
basically, if you look up there, you'll see that tab right on the lower part of the screen where it's on the plastic bushing. That is kind of like a lock. So you'll turn that counterclockwise to help get it out of the house, to disconnect the actual cable harness from it. And then once you got the cable harness disconnected, you'll find this piece right here, and you'll just reach up, and there's a tab right there on top. You'll pull down on that tab, and then you'll slide this down. And it just comes down like that, and that basically has a collar that goes up and locks onto that bushing, keeps it from sliding out. So that's how you put it in there. So we've got that pulled down. Now we'll get up there and get that piece off. And this is on the passenger side of the transmission, towards the rear. So reference, there's your solenoids. You just look up from the solenoids and you'll see that. All right, let me try to get this off.
All right, so we got the old one out. This is it. And all it is these O-rings kind of get flat spots. But the small end goes into the transmission. This larger end is where your harness attaches to. And the harness just goes through and connects to the pins for the TCM, transmission control module, or transmission computer. So here's our new one. They're identical. This little notch goes down, slides in, we'll lock it, and then we'll attach the harness. It turns about quarter to half turn to where it's locked. So I'm just going to put some transmission fluid on this seals, and it should just slide right in.
So we got that piece in. See if I can get it on the camera. We got that piece in. It takes some, that's probably one of the worst parts of this job, but take your time. Can't see it, but I'll tell you what I did. I'll show you, I'll demonstrate on our, I got a transmission out of a vehicle, so I'll show you. But I cleaned up everything, ready for the new gasket and pan. First we got to put our filter in. So when you take your old filter off, make sure it didn't leave the O-ring up in that hole up there. You can see that there. That's where the new filter is going to go. So I'll get the filter in, and then we'll get the old pan and gasket on. Start tightening it up. All right, so we got our transmission pan installed. We got the heat shield bracket installed. The number 8s weren't too bad, except for this one over on the driver's side, closest to their driveline. That one took us a while, so take your time, you'll get it. But we got everything buttoned up. We're going to leave the heat shield off because we need to get in there to do the drain plug. So you'll use a, let's see, it's a number 8 Allen wrench. See if I can do this while I'm filming. Already broke it loose, so we'll take that out, and that's where we're going to fill it. We're going to fill it without it running. Should take, I think, 2.5 to 3 quarts. We'll get it in there, and then we'll start it, let it start pumping oil through, and we'll add 2 or 3 more. I think last time it took us just over 6 quarts, but we'll see. Pay attention to see how much this one takes. All right, so we got the transmission all filled up. Basically you run it after you get your 3 quarts in. Run it for until you get the oil temperature, transmission oil temperature, up to 92 degrees, I think is what the book says. And keep adding. We ended up putting just a hair over 6 quarts, and then you just let it at 92 degrees with the filler plug out. You let it drip for about 1 drip per second, and then put your plug back in. We got our heat shield installed, so we are all set. We're just going to put our engine skid plates on and drop it off the jack stands. Take it for a test drive. Oh, we got to reset the adaptation, so we'll go through that.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead. Somebody had asked on one of my videos about this X tool if it will do a transmission adaptation reset, and I haven't been able to find it. We did go into special functions, and there's a, was it this one? The powertrain. Actually, it's this vehicle reset. I don't think it says it resets everything, and your door locks will go through a couple cycles, everything resets your clock. So I don't think it does the transmission. So we're going to go ahead and do the transmission reset on our Creeder Elite. So, all right, keys on. We topped up transmission. This is after we filled it, had the 1 drip per second. So we're going to go into diagnostics, I believe. We'll go to Land Rover. Hit OK. Should let you do it, and I'll just record. And this one, I believe we go into special functions once it connects. Okay, we do an automatic search. Hit OK. Okay, so we're going to go into special functions. Okay, so then we'll scroll up, and I believe it's this transmission calibration. So powertrain, transmission control model adaptation clear, and that's what we want to do. So we push the first one. Make sure you want to select park. We're in park. Hit OK. Set the ignition switch on. Here, you push the buttons because I can't record and do that. Okay, what does it say?
Transmission adaptation clear is complete.
Hit OK.
To 0.
Turn it off. Hit OK. Turn it on. Hit OK. It has you cycle the key a couple times. Now run to verify any diagnostics as required. Raise square. Okay. We'll go ahead and run it anyways. All right, so that's the adaptation clear or adaptation reset for the transmission using the Creeder Elite. Next one we do will be my wife's car, and we'll do it using the Autel scanner because you can also do it with that. So far, the Creeder Elite will let you do it, and the Autel scanner will do it, but this X tool does not give you a transmission adaptation reset. So